Hey guys, long time no talk to, but I really wanted to do a video today on trauma and self-sabotage and avoidance. It's something that's been coming up a lot, so I really wanted to touch on it, kind of talk about it, and maybe give you some tools to help work through it. And the reason I ask if you have trauma is because we start to wear it like a shield, like it's some unspoken friend that we walk through life with until it starts to sabotage us little by little. And some of us realize it, some of us don't, but it's there. And I think unconsciously we all know it's there. We all know that we're not living fully because we're allowing this trauma that we've internalized to control our lives, control our actions, control the decisions that we make. I know this because this is something I did for a really long time. I would self-sabotage. I would go into destructive mode. It was almost like if I destroy it, it's easier because then that way I don't have to deal with the pain of if it fails on its own. It's like almost like, well, I did it, right? Like it wasn't some outside force. It wasn't that I wasn't good enough. It was just that I made it self-destruct. So it was almost like I'm not bad because I destroyed it on my own, as opposed to I'm not good enough because it fell apart. And it was an unconscious story I was running. I didn't even realize I was running it until I started doing that self-work, until I started really delving deep into why are these things I'm passionate about not working? Why are relationships that for me I thought were good not working with these people that I know contribute to my life, but I'm destroying it. I'm shutting it down because of fear, because of the what ifs, the woulda, coulda, shouldas, the trauma of past relationships that didn't work, and me projecting those relationships, projecting those situations, projecting those thought patterns onto the new situation, the new person, the new whatever it was, because it was fear. Because that's really all avoidance is fear. It's what self-sabotage is. It's fear. It's all based out of fear of what if this past thing happens again? What if what if I'm really not good enough and I put my all into something and it doesn't work? So it's easier just to destroy it. It's easier just to avoid it and not deal with it. It's easier to just pretend it's not there and it's not happening. And what I realized through all of this, though, is as much as I was trying to protect myself, as much as I was trying to avoid the pain, avoid the hurt, avoid all the things, that's exactly what I was creating. Pain, hurt. Because then I'm looking at it like I'm not where I want to be. I'm not living a life that I'm enjoying. I'm not being the person I know I'm meant to be. So it's almost like damned if you do, damned if you don't. So for me, it almost got to the point where it was like, okay, I can avoid this. I can sabotage this. I can destroy this. Or I can look it in the eye and I can deal with it. I can acknowledge my pain and work on it and work through it. I can acknowledge my fear and see it and do it anyway. And that's really the first step to moving through avoidance, to moving through self-sabotage, to moving through fear, is to first just acknowledge it. Acknowledge that it's a thing. Acknowledge that you're feeling that. Acknowledge that, yeah, that is what's coming up for me right now. That's the story I'm running right now. That's the belief system that I've instilled in myself right now. And then realize it's not true. It's not true. You know, our mind gives us fear because it's trying to protect us. But do I need to be protected from this? And really ask yourself, is this something I need to be protected from? No, do it anyway. You know, you look at it, I could avoid this, but if I avoid this, will this make the situation worse? Will it make it better? Will this help me in the future? If the answer is no, do it anyway. And so when you start to acknowledge these things, when you start to see yourself rerunning patterns, when you start to see yourself continuously rerunning the same story, eventually you're gonna be like, oh, I'm doing that. And just really just saying and looking at it and be like, okay, why am I doing this? What am I trying to protect myself from? What am I afraid will happen if I go for this? If I go all in? And you're gonna start to come up with some weird stuff. When I started doing this work, and I'm a firm believer in writing it down. When it pops up, write it down. When you have the thought, write it down. And so I would ask myself the question, what am I afraid will happen if I go all in on this? What am I afraid will happen if I decide to move through it and not let the fear stop me and not avoid it anymore? And it was answers I never even thought would be a thing. I didn't even realize were stories I was running in the background. It was like my business. For a long time, I didn't work my business like I should, because I was like, it's never going to work, right? And that's the story I was running in the front of my brain. So I finally sat down and I said, why do I feel like this business won't work? Why do I feel like what I'm passionate about isn't worthy of putting my all in? And the answer was crazy. The answer was, well, if you're successful, it's going to take up too much of your time. And that's why I didn't want to work my business. I didn't want to give up my time, which is crazy, right? It's like I can, construct my business where I still have time to do the things I enjoy. And then I really looked at it and I'm like, yeah, but I'm still working this 9 to 5, 40 plus hours a week. So I'm giving a job that I don't enjoy, that I don't want to be at, 40 plus hours a week instead of working my business, doing something that I'm passionate about, that I feel like truly assists people and help people and, helps people grow and move through trauma, because I don't want to give up time. Because I'm scared of the time it's going to take me to make this thing successful. It's crazy, right? But it was the truth of what it was. I was scared I was going to be like, in order to be a successful business person, I have to work 100 plus hours a week, which is not true. I know tons of successful business people who work 20 hours, 40 hours, whatever, and make their schedule work for them because they have systems in place. And I'm sitting over here with these resources and I'm not utilizing them. And that's another thing I want to bring to your attention. How much of this is truly just a false story that you're telling yourself? How much of this is truly true or past trauma? Because I really want you to think this through. People who don't want relationship because of past pain and hurt. People who stay in longing and lonely because they're like, well, all my other relationships failed. Okay. So? I know that's harsh, but so what? I think about when I learned to drive. I learned on a stick shift, which if you have ever driven a stick shift, no. Learning to drive and learning a stick shift can be a little bit difficult. And I failed. My car stalled out more than one time. I would be at a stoplight and think, oh, I'm gonna go, and then the car would turn off because I wasn't fully in gear, or I was grinding the gears out because I didn't know how to shift yet. And I want you to think about it like that. These past traumas were not failures. These past traumas were not meant to keep you in fear. These past traumas were meant to teach you so you could learn tools, so when the situation popped up again, you knew how to work through it. And I think a lot of us, instead of learning the tools and utilizing the tools to learn how to work through it, so when the situation comes in again, we're like, I got this. I know how to work with this. I know what to do with this. I know how to move through this. We instead say, oh my God, the situation's coming up again, and I failed last time and I'm going to fail this time. I'm not even going to deal with it now. And so instead of dealing with it, instead of like, okay, what did I do last time to move past this? what did I do last time? Or even if you did move past it last time, what can I do this time to move past this? So when this happens again, I know what to do. So I just really want you to think on that. How much are you holding yourself back because you're living in the past? Because you're allowing trauma to run subconscious stories in the background, because you want to avoid it, because it seems easier to avoid it than just taking it head on and moving past it. And I know these are kind of hard questions, and I know this is not something that really any of us want to look at, because I'm going to be honest, it can be hard. But sometimes hard now makes life easier later. So I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. As always, be soulfully you. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want more content like this, subscribe. And if you have something you want to contribute or you have questions, drop a comment down below. All right, guys. Love you. As always, be soulfully you. Bye.